All right, I'm wearing sunglasses in the house because I am a cool guy. No, got a little something going on up there, but I survived my birthday. I'm 29 years old now. Congratulations to me. It's not the point of this story though, because in the time that I have gone missing, the past few days, somebody else has actually been missing from the YouTube space for a little while longer. And it's somebody who I actually have a personal connection with, generally, in a surprising manner. I'm about to get into all of that here for the first time on my own YouTube channel. This is a person who is very popular on YouTube currently and has been for the past few years. Has been on many of the different platforms that I actually talk about: DJ Academics, No Jumper, and a few other places that I'm blanking out on right now. But anyways, let's get to the chase here. I'm talking about 1090 Jake. I don't know how many of my subscriber base or people who view this are going to be well, I would assume people who view this are going to be cross-section between it because of the titling. But as far as my subscriber base, I don't know how many of you are going to be necessarily familiar with him. I know I make very different content than what he does for the most part. But he is a YouTuber who originally started, his YouTube channel is called End of Sentence. Go get your subscriptions in. Watch his content. He makes great YouTube content. But basically, End of Sentence 1090 Jake started off as a prison YouTuber talking about his experience that he spent behind bars. And if you stay tuned to the end of this, after the current events, I'm actually going to give an anecdote about, like I said, I personally know him, and we'll get into all of that in a bit. You're definitely going to want to stay tuned because this is a side of a specific story that nobody's ever heard before. So he has not made a video in a while. And after his starting off making the prison YouTube videos, talking about his personal experience and then the experience of others and doing interviews with them, he branched off more towards journalism in hip hop, news, and gang culture. And kind of has this like mesh where he's talking about, rappers. He's got this thing where he kind of pulls up paperwork on people, for anybody who is being accused of or rumored of snitching, things like that. And he, goes through that because he has the resources to attain those kind of documents, as to where a lot of people just don't necessarily know how to do all that. So they go to watch his channel. And it's ironic that he has a passion about that because he was actually snitched on, which he talks about in one of his YouTube channels. And I happen to know the person who did that on him. So once again, we'll talk about that. But he has not made a video in about a month now. The last one that he made would have been on the Boston Richie situation. And essentially, he was brought up under his own accusations of, I guess, you'll call it snitching. Yeah, I mean, it's paperwork. He has since come out to deny the paperwork that has come out against him. And that was a few months ago, really. It might have been, couldn't have been last year because those Boston Richie videos are only like a month or so old. So around January is when this is all going down. He's coming out defending his own allegations, and everybody on the Boston Richie side is pretty fired up about that. And it becomes quite a controversial thing. Boston Richie ends up having to step down from, well, not having to. We don't know. I'm not trying to accuse that he was forced to. He moved away from the tour because he didn't want to bring the added drama from his situation onto that tour, is what is the official story that's gone, that he withdrew himself. And then, 1090 Jake has not made a video since that time. I saw another YouTuber, and I don't know his name because this was the first time I watched his video, but it's a black guy. He was wearing a hat with a chicken, like an Angry Birds hat kind of thing on, but apparently he's a best-selling novel, or not novelist, but author of a book, and he has actually had some impact. He's basically a prison activist. He's had some laws moved around. Well, long story short, I'm watching his video where he's talking about 1090 Jake missing and saying that, hey, he just hopes that nothing bad happened to them. And it really didn't enter my mind until after he said that, really. So, what I originally found his YouTube was, I was actually looking to see if there's been any updates, because I went on to, and I'm subscribed to him, of course, and I didn't see any new videos pop up. So I go on to his actual channel. I see the last one is Boston Richie from a month ago. I think that I saw an Instagram post or something like that after that, I'm pretty sure, where he kind of said that he was making some motion happen. I don't know if I'm fully remembering that correctly though, but he has not posted to his YouTube. He has not posted to any other social medias from what I've seen recently. I'm really not that much on Instagram too much anymore either though. So I definitely will take this point to say that I guess I hope that nothing bad necessarily directly happened to him. I couldn't imagine what it could be, but generally I don't want anything bad to happen to him. And yeah, if anybody had any, knowledge or updates, I figured I was just going to put this video out here so we can get a little bit more, content. Basically, when I searched, I didn't see too many videos kind of asking where he went. It's not like we have to send out a search party or anything for the guy. He could just be at home, just chilling, enjoying life or anything like that. Like I have been for the past few days, and dealing with some other things, birthday, other things. But yeah, I guess we'll stay tuned for that. This is my first time making a video about 1090 Jake. So that's something that, I mentioned him one time previously, or actually, I don't think I even mentioned him by name. I think I said I had a story of a popular YouTuber that I knew. And yeah, that he's the one. So I'm making this video to get it out here to say, yo, you should check, and maybe he's going to tap in and say that he's perfectly fine. And, either way, like I said, it's not, nothing is beholden to me. None of this is owed to me or anything like that. I'm making this video out of general curiosity. But also, because of the second portion of the video, as promised in the beginning, I did want to go ahead and finally talk about the story about how I actually personally know him. Because I was around at the time. I'm going to do this without, it's going to be a different perspective of information, but respecting people's privacy and everything like that. I'm not trying to give out anything that's not already beknownst to the public, meaning I'm a civilian. I'm not a gang member, but I'm not doing any type of what would be considered snitching here. We're going to go ahead and protect all parties involved. So with that being said, I will say that anonymously, my roommate at the time was the person who was his co-defendant. And the situation that 1090 Jake originally got arrested for and did not his first time getting arrested, but his first time going to prison that started his channel would have been due to a situation between him and this roommate, the guy who told on him. And once again, like I already said in my disclaimer, everything that I've said thus far has already been described in a 1090 Jake video where he talks about how my old roommate snitched on him. And I'm saying my old roommate because just a little bit of background as to how I had gotten into ranks or, linking up with these people. We'll take it back to 2012. I had just gotten off of probation myself that I had been on since I was like 15 years old, okay? And I was actually in the custody, well, I'm not in the custody because I had turned 18, but I was living with my mother's ex-husband without her. just to give you any inkling into how effed up my childhood was. Yeah, I had my, ownership. What do you call it? What is the word? Guardianship, whatever. Turned over to her ex-husband. They were already divorced at the time, and I'm getting into all kind of situations in my current living space there as to where it's hot. I gotta go. And basically, I'm out and I live or I'm chilling in a log cabin with my other homeboy from back in the day. And it's right up the street from where I stay, country, outside, outskirts of Tampa. And my boy hits me up, and this was my boy at the time, who was going to be my roommate and eventually turns into the tattletale. He hits me up and he's like, yo, my girl just got popped. She went to prison. I'm not even on the lease for this apartment complex, and rent's coming up due. I need the money. Do you need a place to stay? Basically. And he knew my situation because we kicked it, we kicked it and we talked about those kind of things. So he knew I was looking to get out. And I was like, yeah, count me in. There had been an altercation that happened in my, personal life that I had to absolutely get away from anyways. Nothing legal, but just something that could have escalated into some other stuff. So I move into this apartment, this one room. Oh, it's so small. This apartment was so small. Had this little window unit AC. It was basically above this like old shut down store space owned by these like bodega owners. Man, it was like the smallest little apartment. But one room. And we have 3 dudes staying there. One's on the couch, 2 in the bedroom. Obviously, I'm on the floor, air mattressed up and stuff like that, because that was just all I had with me at the time. I didn't even have a bed or anything like that, or a job. I was just getting off, probation, like real dark place in my life, let's say. And we kicking it though. Like, that's life. Like, we're just living our life. We got the game, we got a TV, we got a little pit bull puppy, and we just thugging it out, right? So we all partaked in a magical herb, to say the least, in those days. And I wanted some. I needed to find some, and my boy was telling me that, like, since they had been over on that side, they didn't know anyone to get anything from. And I thought I was like crazy. It was like, you guys have been over here this long, y'all ain't, So I just go right outside, talk to literally the first dude that I see. He's walking these 2 giant ass pit bulls. I was asking him, like, bro, he looks zooted, to say the least. I was like, yo, you know where to get this? Whoop, wop, whoop, wop. Anyways, long story short, we link up with the dude. He ends up being one of our neighbors and stuff like that. And we kick it with him. His name was Milo. You've heard 1090 talk about him a few times and stuff like that. So that's what happened. We end up chilling with this, Spanish dude named Milo for a little while, like younger than us. He's like 2 years younger than us. He's still in high school, lives with his mom and stuff across the street. Basically, his backyard touched our apartment's parking lot. So, we end up getting stuff, whatever from him. We link up. We were chilling for like a while, as in we were kicking it for a couple weeks, right? All of a sudden, he brings this white boy around, right? Like this white boy. We ain't know nothing about him. White boy who had a big old, he was obviously a blood though. He had, 5 alive. Well, I don't think he had 5 alive, but he definitely had a 5. He had the 5 tattooed on him somewhere. He was blood. Like you could tell. He was not bashful about anything about that when he was around. And it was a dude who was like, he would sell, I'm gonna tell you what, man. Tonight, went back in the day, he always had weed that he had just procured from someone else. He was one of those type of dudes. He resourceful fellow. So we was always, we were smoking, kicking it, playing UFC, doing all that bullshit. And they start, him and my boy, who I was living with, ambitious dudes, so they start linking up and going on missions, doing things that I wasn't around for, so I can't even speak on them. Doing things, getting money, whatever. Long story short, one of those things that I guess they happen to get into ends up bringing some heat around the apartment. Okay, so me and somebody who didn't actually live there at the time, we ended up, we were there one day, and essentially the police came knocking on the door and took me and him out, questioned us, asked us if we knew anything about anything going on. I told them everything I knew, which was nothing, and never would have told them anything other than that. But I will tell you that, yeah, they were like, oh, such and such, so and such. They trying to tell us what's going on, asking us if we know the whereabouts of our roommate. Nah, don't know where he's at. What are you talking about? Put us in the back of the car while they go and search this place. We don't have no choice at the time because there was a warrant out for whatever they were getting into. Blase, blase. Well, dude was home, so they scoop him up, they get him. So all that situation had occurred. And we're, for the next few days, like I told you, I was only in this living situation because that was where him and his girl used to stay before she got locked up. So I'm in this situation where I'm trying to still have a place to stay. And I'm the only one staying there at that time and everything like that. Cause it got obviously real hot after that situation. I was like, I'm not even doing anything at this time. Plus I ain't had nowhere to go at that. I was not trying to go back over to the side that I was just on or anything like that. So I was chilling. But long story short, the cops were like, yeah, you can't be here anymore. So I was like, oh, okay, word. Yeah, all right, that's cool. Anyways, I go ahead and I break out, I dip, link up with Milo and them, everything like that. We talk about it, game plan it out. I end up getting my, stuff together, and I end up unwillingly heading back to my other side of town and kicking it with a few homies over there for a few years, actually. But yeah, so that actually, I'm not, like I said, if you want to know anything more about what the situation is from what 1090 went through, go watch his channel where he talks about why he got arrested. Because I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not going to talk about whatever they were doing or anything like that. I'm just here to say that when it all went down, it all happened down because of situations that happened at the apartment that I stayed at. So it's kind of ironic. It's a little weird, a little random that, that happens. And then this. So another portion of that I want to talk about is the fact that, my old roommate told on him. And he's spoken about that in his YouTube channel. And it's funny because I'm sure that when it happened, the guy told on him because he thought nobody was ever going to know. And as a matter of fact, there was a time where he spoke to me. I questioned him about it, and he told me, he tried to tell me that 1090 essentially was going to tell on him. But since then, there's been absolutely no paperwork that's been produced in that situation or anything else that said anything remotely close to that. And the only person who told in that situation was actually him. And I'm pretty sure that's because the police said, your boy already told us all the situation. And that's kind of like one of the oldest tricks in the books. Obviously, I wasn't there in the situation. So I don't know if that's how it really went down. But for him to say that and the paperwork to not align with that, meaning that he didn't actually tell anything, kind of convinces me that, yeah, you let them trick you into doing that. Or maybe you were lying to me in the first place and you had it in your heart to do that, And like I said, there's a specific reason why I limited the activities that I was getting involved with at this time, because I was just getting off of probation right before I got off of probation February of 2012 and turned 18 March 18th of 2012. So that just goes to show you how short the time span was for me to even get all that stuff situated. And I'm fresh off that. I've been on it for years just because I was utterly failing at life at that time with no assistance to do anything productive. And I'm just not trying to get right back into any situation that's going to get me there. You know, I love freedom. I'm just loving it. I'm an adult now. I'm out. I'm able to party and do things. Like, I'm not going back. You know what I'm saying? Life was really good, even though I was really, really broke right then. So I worked on getting that situated. We got a job. We were working at Dunkin' Donuts at the apartment and everything like that. But I say all this to say that I was trying to be as square as possible at that time. You gosh darn right. Boy, I was doing everything, golly by Jesus, to stay square. And that's why I was not out doing any of those things. So I'm thankful that I guess was in that position at that time, but I say all this to say that when you choose to move like that, you should at least follow the rules that you set for yourself, if no one else, because that's like, yeah, it's crime, but it's like a business decision. And I would advise that nobody go that way. Follow the path that, it doesn't gotta be like me, but follow the path of the square one. Trust me, being square and getting money, it's really easy, especially if you got half a brain. There's a lot of money to get out there, legitimate money. And the more of a record that you have, the harder it gets. I will tell you that straight up. So, with that being said, the moral of this story is, 1, if you choose to live that life, don't snitch. 2, we need to find out where 1090 Jake is at because, if he's safe and sound at home with his kids and everything, like that's cool. But dude does have a child from what I know, and I would hate to see anybody's father get taken away from them or any type of weird situation like that to happen. It's just not something that I support. But even more so than that, I had a third thing I was going to say. 3, life is crazy. And it's weird how it's like on some real Kevin Bacon stuff. It's funny. Oh, I never even told you about, just quickly at the end here, the way I found out about 1090. I didn't know the dude became a YouTuber because, like I said, we only met in that brief moment and stuff like that. And he was really out missioning in with my boy more so than myself. But we came through common space and we've had conversations and stuff like that. Would he remember me? Would he acknowledge me? I don't know, because we were not homeboys to that extent is all I will say. But it's funny because I don't even know what the heck I was watching on YouTube. I'm a YouTube dude. I love YouTube. I watch it all day, all the time. But I was watching something on the late night and it popped up this heavier set because he used to be real skinnier back in the day, tall, big square head dude, but skinnier back in the day. And I see this guy on YouTube and he's talking about these interesting topics about prison. And yeah, I was kind of interested in that at the time because it was just like, real true crime, all that stuff. I'm not the superest into that, not like serial killer stuff, but like the incarceration stuff. It was interesting. It was new to me. It was a novel channel and I liked novel YouTube videos at that time. And I still do. So I was locked in with his stuff and I was like, this guy looks super familiar. I could tell because he's got this distinctive tattoo under his eye that I was just like, before he had any of the other stuff around, like he's always been tatted up ever since I've known him. But he had this one very distinctive tattoo under his eye where I'm like, yo, this guy's a little heavy, but he looked mad familiar. And I was like, bro. And then I saw the video where he talked about his perspective of the situation. I was like, holy effing S. This is that dude, White Boy Jake. We used to call him White Boy or Boston Jake, basically, because his name was Jake. He was from Boston, from all we knew. I know he's from like Dorchester or something like that, but to Tampa, that's Boston. So, that's where he's from. And he's from Tampa too. So but we call him Boston, White Boy, and yeah, I'm watching, I'm just like, holy, this dude is literally and he's blowing up on YouTube. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm watching the video, obviously finding out that my boy told and everything. I'm finding out about this on YouTube. So I'm like, man, what the F? Hitting up people. I was like, yo, such and such did so and so. I was like, whoa. And they were like, yeah, man, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, man, it's freaking YouTube dude talking about. I even talked to the guy about it. I was like, yo, you did that? And he was like, yeah, that's when he told me everything he did. And I was like, hey, man, whatever. I wash my hands of the situation. It was never my shit to begin with. I literally was only there by happenstance. I was even in that situation. So this ain't, hey, me and 1090 go way back. I'm not that type of dude. That's not my best friend. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I've definitely congratulated him on his success because that's kind of, it's crazy to see. It's funny how I know two people who have been on No Jumper before. Technically, one on Plug Talk. We're not gonna. Maybe we'll talk about that one day, but it's not really. That ain't no big deal or anything like that. But yeah. As far as this story about 1090 Jake, as far as a fan, I'm a fan genuinely of his YouTube stuff because I love YouTube in general. So, and I have my own YouTube channel, so I figured I would eventually be talking about it. But that is the story about how I know 1090 Jake personally. Very strangely linked to the start of his whole YouTube career in the first place, which obviously I'm not contributing any of that to me. It's just one of those weird things that you look at in life and say, wow, the world is so small. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, wherever that guy is, hope he's good. Salute. Y'all have a good one.